Caution, the show contains explicit material, adult content, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to an edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to creating an alternative lifestyle design that improves quality of life for both people and for the planet, exploring alternatives to the daily grind through liberation and independence, and moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. I just crack myself up all the time. Whoa, you guys, what do we got going on here? This is some crazy, we got over 30%. I think last time I spoke about the economy, it was 60 million. I think it's only like 30 million, something like that, people out of jobs. And we also have about 15% unemployment. And it is May. It's like the first week of May here, 2020. And it's I guess the show I'm rolling off the cuff today is that we just need to, what better time to have an alternative lifestyle design than right now? And why? Why would we need something? Why do we need to simplify? Because we need time to think. We need time to plan. I think a lot of our shit is the days are numbered for a lot of our jobs. I've already spoke about this, about AI. You know, we got this whole lockdown thing, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on, guys, where we can easily be replaced. And I think a lot of this lockdown stuff where people are still able to run their businesses efficiently, or just run their businesses and figure out a way, how can I get rid of these liabilities, which is you and me, meaning we get sick, we get locked down. How can I automate my business? Why would you not? Why would you not work on automating your business without human beings to the best of your ability? It's cheaper. Everything runs a lot smoother. Machines don't complain. I think we got, whether all this stuff was coming, whether it's a conspiracy theory or not, I don't really give a damn. I said a couple shows earlier, who fucking knows what's going to happen? But the one thing that is good about a simple life, an alternative lifestyle design, meaning that we organize our lives, we simplify, whatever that means to you. Let's just clarify what that is. And I'll just finish though. Is why it's good is because it's good for the planet, it's good for you, regardless of whatever the situations, whatever pops up. But for you to make more money, for you to be successful, for you to be able to think, to have less stress, be healthier. So an alternative lifestyle design, in my eyes, in my life, what I've designed and built for myself is running my life like a business and choosing to live a lot simpler in a lot of different ways. And as I say, it may not look the same for you, and that's what I would ask, is that you cherry pick. You go to things like minimalism, simple living, frugal living, all of these things. You get where I'm saying, and you kind of grab the stuff that excites you and that works for you the best and implement those things into your life. And I think our current systems have been failing us. They've been, and now they're really failing us. There's a lot of people living off government money. How long is all this supposed to last? I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there where it's cheaper, or not cheaper, I'd say more profitable for people to not go to work and continue collecting unemployment. This is in the bars and the restaurant industries and things like that, and I'm sure a hell of a lot more that I really don't have time to think about. But let's think about that for a second. It's cheaper for you to be on unemployment than to actually go to work. If this is happening in your life, we need to do something about this. We need to fix the problem. I think what we need to do is each individual, I don't know which job, like what occupation you guys have, but the one thing I do know that every one of us, no matter where we are, from the low to the high, we need time to finish a thought. We need time to design. I'm not sure if you guys understand when I say finish a thought. I've never heard it anywhere else, but for myself, as I notice that I sit in contemplation a lot, like how the fuck am I supposed to get more clients, or how can I this or that? You're on a train of thought, right? It's like whiteboarding, and you've got all these different ideas, all these different scenarios. Well, what could go bad? What could go right? The stuff that goes bad, can I come up with an idea of some way to mediate that, to fix that? So you got all these components, basically like designing a machine as a thought form of something that you want to take from a dream or a thought into reality and put it into motion. And if you don't finish that thing, then it kind of goes all wonky and you get screwed up. But why would that happen? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I noticed for myself is I start thinking about things like the COVID-19. I start thinking about my daughter and all the stuff I got to do, and I lose track of thought. And I think the biggest one for me has been, not so much as in the past, but it still comes in, is where you want to think, but you have all these little things like shit. You have a list. I don't know about you guys, but I hate focusing on something new, knowing that I got a whole bunch of stuff over here I got to take care of. So it's really nice to clean off the table, get rid of all the mail, get your checklist all checked off, so that you can go back to building that machine of thought. Continue all the way till its end, and it may take days, but you continue till you get to some sort of conclusion about it, and then you file it away instead of being interrupted. And I think it's getting rid of, basically what I'm saying in a nutshell, instead of fucking blabbering my mouth off, Jesus Christ, is organize your life so that you have nothing but time, or more of this time, to just sit there and think and design your way out. I think it's very powerful. A tip I can give you guys is that if you're getting stressed out, for instance, one for me is that I've kind of got disorganized building this spin farm garden project, running my roofing business and all that, so I kind of got like some things stacking around my house. I go to try to find something, and I got to move a bunch of stuff and actually notice how much of a bad mood it puts me in. So I noticed this with people as well, business associates, people that I relate with in business, vendors and stuff like that, people I buy from, and I notice I get irritated. Maybe they gave me the wrong order and stuff. So basically it is the pull from the micro out to the macro, and just take a viewpoint around and notice, how did I get here today, and why am I so angry, and what can I do about it? So I love it that taking that time to have the vantage point of your life, watching where your time is going. I think it's very, very crucial that we all look at not just what's bothering us, what's making us angry, maybe it's because of disorganization or just rotten people, but also your time. I think it's a big one right now with the hustle, and it's affecting me as well. I think a lot of talk about the hustle right now has got people like work harder, and I'm thinking, it's not about really working harder. Did these successful people make it like working harder? No, they utilize their time, and they utilize their resources in other people. I think it was Henry Ford that somebody asked, why don't you go to college and get your degree and all this stuff? He goes, why would I do that when I've got like 5 people with degrees to take care of that matter for me? I hire them and pay them. Granted, he's making a lot of money and throwing money at the problem instead of learning and educating and doing everything himself. But there's a point, I think, in our lives right now where the inconvenience of convenience, all the things that we have, ends up owning you, ends up running your life. And I think it's only you that if you sit back long enough and be able to observe these things and to go, and where, for instance, buying cheap appliances and things like that, stuff you just don't need, watching your money just go out. That's what the rich say. I've been trying to develop that on my end here, of how can I close the loop of money? Because you go to work, you work your ass off, you get money, and then you spend it, and you buy a thing that depreciates, it's a liability, and the money's gone, everything's gone. You really lost. They're all liabilities. They're not assets. And I think that we need to focus on what are the assets in our life. And I think it goes beyond physical goods. It goes time. Am I making time an asset to myself? Am I utilizing it to the best of my ability? I think if you take a journal, if you need to go that route, you can also take a timer, is what I do on my smartphone. Just take a timer and time everything you're doing, and then maybe log that in a journal. And like I says in past episodes, if you start looking at the time that you've saved, if you make a game out of it, especially if you've got no job right now, start watching how much shit you got to do, from the cooking, the cleaning, the meal prepping, all of these things, the maintenance that maybe you should do but you're not doing. How many things are taking time away from your life? And I think that's one of the biggest lessons in simple living for me, has been, before I introduce something new into my life, like maybe another dog, because my dog just passed away a couple months ago. Do I have the time to take care of that dog? A lot of people rant and rave. Wow, that is such a really good, well-behaved dog. It's smart. Yeah, why do you think it was that way? Because I spent a lot of time training it. I spent time with it. So as I said, with time, with money, Also with a dog, I would look and say, you better get like $8,000 or something in emergency funds just to have on the side, and pet insurance in case you had to have a major surgery, unless you're willing to just put your dog down. All of these things, do I have that money? Do I have that time to train it? I'm so busy working on other things. Does this make sense to me? Now I'm sitting here irritated because my house is becoming completely disorganized because I've been focusing more on work, and yet I'm going to get a puppy? It doesn't make sense. Like, there's a sequence of events. This is a podcast I've been waiting to do, and it's like a sequence of events and things that need to happen before you get from point A to point B, or even to get something like point A even started. So I would look at, for instance, for me, and I'm giving you these ideas, these are just my thoughts and observations from my own life. So let's just say I did want to get a dog. Well, I need to go and build up that $8,000 emergency fund, pet fund. I need to organize my house. I need to organize a plan just to make sure my home stays organized. I need to figure out about my time and maybe I should give up my spin farm project or one of my businesses to be able to spend that time with my dog. If you don't think it's significant, you haven't heard that show, a dog should be walked twice a day in my book. And we used to spend about 30 minutes every day. In the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. And I'm not even counting grooming, like cutting her nails, unless I drive her, which would take just as probably more time and more money. Get her nails clipped, get her her ear infections, making sure urinary tract infections don't happen, organizing her supplements and everything, and studying, knowing what's going on, hair brushing. But just the walk in general is an hour a day. An hour times 7 days a week, guys. That's 7 hours. That's almost a full working day. I would easily say just with feeding her at a low would be 8 hours. That's a full day of a work day that I'd be giving up per week to have an animal, let alone let's get a cat, a bird, or whatever else. So I hope that you guys see, just like this plan for to have a pet, whatever something new you're going to get in your life, like say a swimming pool or something, or jacuzzi. Like, do you have the time to balance out the pH somewhere? Are you going to hire somebody? Look at how many things that we basically introduce into our lives that we don't have time to maintain, and then which was supposed to bring us joy, now is taking from us financially, time, energy, happiness. It's taking away from us because we didn't plan our way through this thing correctly. There was a sequence of events that needed to happen. Maybe we needed to get rid of something so that we can have that. Maybe we find more of this thing as an asset, that a new dog would bring me joy, which I really miss having a puppy, man. But the asset of that, instead of having a jacuzzi or something, or maybe another job, would just make me happier, probably make me more productive. So it's systems thinking. I know I'm kind of all over the place here, but in this day and age, what's happening right now, I think that these are the type of things that we need to incorporate into our lives. And alternative lifestyle design is what that definition is for me. That's what that all means. You don't have to. I hate how things are just like a religion. It's a club. We're all minimalists. If you're not a minimalist, then if you own more than 15 things, you're not part of this group. No. Find things that you like, incorporate them into your life, and see how they work. Start tweaking things. I think that's like the biggest thing I see with people right now, with the majority, not all, but the majority of people, the way they do business, the way they run their family, everything. They kind of, education, they follow suit by what the rat race is doing, or what society, what everybody's doing. Like, I've heard of Lemmings, and they don't have the capacity or the balls maybe to just kind of think to themselves, well, what would work for me? And who cares if I stand out from the herd? What if I'm successful? If anybody follows me and knows about my mini retirements, I got a 1.5-year supply of emergency funds, my food, the way I've designed my life, I have a lot of freedom. And it took tweaking, and it's still to this day, I act poor. I look poor, I act poor, but I've got plenty of money in the bank. I'm not a millionaire by any means, and I chose not to really be, because there's a lot of time, a lot of assets and things that I want to take care of, and not necessarily money right now. I don't want to explain the whole thing, but I'm pretty well to do. I just don't appear that way, but I get treated different, especially by the way I live. I live below my means, and I have cash right now. I may buy a mobile home. I don't know, move from an RV to a mobile home. But you see the way I've set up my life, I've got myself in the position. I think that's the last one I want to tell you guys is like, if a recession was coming or something, you wanted to capitalize on it, buy yourself a home or buy a business or whatever it was, maybe make $1 million or something. Remember that thing I was saying, the sequence of events? You need the cash behind you, right? To do that investment or to make that deal, you would have to know the people. You have to be educated. You have to position yourself to be ready mentally too, to get on that shit when it happens, the strike, when the moment's hot. So all of these, sometimes it takes years. Like for me, positioning myself so if the economy does take a dump, I can go and maybe upgrade from a small, living in a travel trailer, a tiny house, into a mobile home. So, and I've got that from doing time. I think a lot of people would think that I'm doing nothing sometimes. I'm sitting on my lawn chair, just looking up at the sky, thinking, developing, and writing stuff down in my notes on my phone. Like, how am I going to play this all out? What do I need to do? Getting myself ready to position for when that moment arrives. But the point is that I want to make is that I have that time and it's uninterrupted because I already know that I cleaned off my desk. I've got all the mail sent off, all the bills are paid, I've dealt with everything as they come, or I just bunch them all into a note and I put them aside and say, I don't have to think about this right now. Because sometimes we get in that whirlwind, and I think that's what could happen with the news, with all the information we're hearing and everything. It's like it's a big whirlwind. Nobody knows what to make sense of anything. We don't know. And the one thing that can help you is to have that peace of mind and that time to sit and actually think. So I'm rambling on. So that's the show, guys. Hey, thanks for being here. If you like this sort of thing, check out the YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Apple iTunes, the podcast, all up and in it. And as I always say, guys, have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Human up. Carry on the fire. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.